we welcome in Bradley Blakeman. He is a Newsmax Insider. Hello, Bradley. How are you, sir?
Hey, Steve. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I hope I explained it correctly, and I hope I explained some of the concerns. You have much more detail in here, but as I see it, this company called SoftBank, that Japanese conglomerate, which is looking to get control of Sprint, has some connections and history that should really concern us all as Americans.
That's correct. And you correctly point out that the infrastructure of America, whether it be wireless communication infrastructure, which is really the future, there's relatively little hardwired copper line left in our country, as it should be, because the future is digital, the future is wireless. And in order for America to be competitive, we have to go to the new technologies. But having said that, living in a world economy, America has got to realize that our infrastructure is critical to our existence as a nation, our freedom. And if you surrender our critical infrastructure to foreign entities, then we lose control. We lose the ability to be as free as America should be and wants to be, because companies like Huawei and ZTE, which are Chinese equipment providers of infrastructure, to other companies, as you correctly point out, American companies, is dangerous to our national security. And again, you also rightly say that the future threats to America are here, and that is cyber attack. And that is a real nuclear threat of the 21st century. And we better understand in America that the job of government is to prevent harm from happening and not really respond to it when it does happen.
All right. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't know. I thought you were finished. I heard when you took a pregnant pause there. I just want to explain to the folks then why the possible sale and involvement of the SoftBank company with Sprint presents or adds to our security concerns.
Right. Well, SoftBank is a Japanese conglomerate telecom company, and which is pretty much reliant on Chinese infrastructure. So what the Chinese can't do through the front door, they do through the back door. So they partner up with an American ally like Japan, and then they realize the Chinese, they don't have to own American companies. They just have to merely make us reliant upon their infrastructure, because if their infrastructure goes down, if they can control our wireless infrastructure, then they pretty much control American communication. So SoftBank, which is a Chinese company backed up by, a Japanese company backed up by Chinese infrastructure, seeks to control Sprint in a merger, making that the third largest telecom in America, and which is reliant on foreign ownership and foreign control of the infrastructure upon which it works. That doesn't make any sense, especially when the CEO of SoftBank just paid a $1.5 million fine to the U.S. Justice Department because he admitted under his watch in another company of bribing 200 Chinese telecom officials. And in addition, they just issued SoftBank a threat to Wall Street by saying that if anyone in Wall Street contributes in any way to a competitor bidding on this deal, then they will never be considered for a deal by SoftBank or Sprint, which is basically extortion. So you have some really bad actors here.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way.
Company.
We're talking to Bradley Blakeman, Republican strategist and Newsmax Insider here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, so the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee released a report, and that report spoke to this issue, and they certainly sound like they're echoing your concerns.
They are, but unfortunately, Congress does not approve this merger. The FCC does. And a committee that very few Americans have ever heard of called CFIUS. It's the Committee on Foreign Investment, which takes into account Homeland, CIA, a number of agencies weigh in on this merger. But the ultimate decision is with the Federal Communications Commission. And that's where Congress would really step in as the oversight of our country. That's their constitutional obligation to slow up this deal, especially when such glaring problems are present in this deal, not only with the foreign ownership and control, but also the bad acting on behalf of the people who are going to control this company should the merger go through. So Congress has come up with 5 recommendations, some of which we hope are going to be incorporated in whatever decision the FCC were to make if they approve this. But there needs to be a government in America that prevents bad things from happening and not merely responds to it or over-responds when bad things happen. We cannot have our infrastructure reliant on foreign ownership and control.
Why do you believe, Bradley, that the FCC would approve this?
Well,
I'm sorry, the FCC. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they could approve. Why do I think they'll approve it? Is because
why would they want to approve it? I mean, what's the motivation? If these security flags have been raised, although it is the Obama administration, I understand that. But if these security flags have been raised and there are other options for Sprint, which I'm sure there are, why would they approve this?
Well, they should not approve it without assurances and conditions. Number one. Number two is they're up against what we call the shot clock. They have 180 days to make a decision. Now, there's a new FCC chair. Now, having said that, they can always stop the clock for reasonable concern. And I think there's enough reasonable concern of late raised on this deal where the new incoming FCC commissioner should say, hey, wait a second. I want to be brought up to speed on this. I want to make sure that I am in total symbiotic relationship with the House and the Senate, relevant committees, also the committee that I mentioned, CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment, to make sure this is in the best interest of America. But right now, they're up against that shot clock. And what I'm afraid of is a deal will be made because the clock runs out and it's the only game in town. And it's not the only game in town. If this deal doesn't go through, there's another suitor for this company, which is Dish.
Dish Network, yeah.
Yeah, and Dish should be given a full and fair opportunity to present their deal to the board of Sprint. And so this clock is really artificial. Although Sprint and SoftBank thinks that it's a hard and fast deadline, it's not. Nor should it be when national interest is concerned. So the FCC doesn't have the same interest or information as our national security people do, and that's why they need to rely on information they ordinarily wouldn't be privy to.
Well, that would be nice, and I would like to say I would like to hold out hope, and I do hold out hope because this is a travesty waiting to happen on top of so many other travesties, and we can't allow it to happen. So without certainly the proper restrictions and concerns being addressed. So I appreciate you, Bradley, writing the piece that appeared on Newsmax and also talking about it. And I should point out to folks, Bradley Blakeman served as deputy assistant to President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2004 and is a professor of politics and public policy at Georgetown University. And you see him on Fox and all that stuff. Not bad, Georgetown.
Yeah, we got some really smart kids.
Yeah, I was going to make a basketball reference or analogy, but I'll let it pass. So really good work on this, and I think this is something that needs to be talked about more, and we're going to try to get some people from that committee who put out these concerns and warnings to address it so that the story really does get out there and people raise concern about it.
Great. You're doing good work.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Bradley.
Thank you.
Bradley
Bye-bye.
Blakeman, ladies and gentlemen.